What is going on, everybody? It is game day. It's your boy and host of the Washington Brawl Podcast, Parker Hamlet, rocking my gear, ready to watch the matchup in a couple hours. But let's skip these Fox analysts, all these people who don't know anything about the football team, and listen to real fan analysis, because on today's episode, we preview the pivotal matchup against the Carolina Panthers with Dwayne Haskins now under center. We talk him, Alex Smith, Antonio Gibson, Dan Snyder, and joining me to do so are two very special guests, Mike Reed, the Juggalo, and the co-host of the Burgundy Zone Podcast, as well as Steve NFL from Twitter. I know a lot of people, you know him. Great analysis by him on that app on a consistent basis. So excited to have those two on this episode to talk Washington football and preview this matchup. But before we get started, let me ask you a question, Brawl listeners. When was the last time you shaved your balls? When it comes to men's hygiene, Manscaped is as good and safe as Antonio Gibson in a PPR league. The Lawnmower 3.0 is the best hygiene tool for the modern man because of their ceramic blade and skin-safe technology. Avoids any nicks and snags to be completely reduced. As you see here, it's got that nice little white border on the blade. This is the perfect protection you need for your franchise quarterback. The Lawnmower 3.0 is also waterproof and has an LED light on it, which makes it a complete game changer, as you see here. They also just released the Shears 2.0 nail kit, which is the perfect add-on for the Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer. No one likes an ungroomed set of fingers, feet, and most importantly, balls. That's why they have forever changed the grooming game with the Perfect Package 3.0. Their Perfect Package 3.0 also comes with the new and improved Lawnmower Performance Boxer Briefs and travel bag for you to use whenever we are finally done quarantining. This also includes other exclusive items such as the Crop Preserver and the Crop Reviver. The Crop Preserver is an anti-chafing ball deodorant for your sack that helps you avoid the worst foe of them all, swamp ass. Also, the Crop Reviver is a spray-on toner for your balls that made with soothing aloe and hazel extracts that will give your testes a boost. For a limited time, only Washington Brawl listeners, you not only get one, but two free gifts. The Shed Travel Bag, which is a $40 estimated value, and the patent high-performance anti-chafing Manscaped Boxer Briefs. They're silky, they're smooth, they're great. I'm wearing them right now. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code BRAWL Brawl at manscaped.com. That's get 20% off plus free shipping with promo code BRAWL at manscaped.com today. Take advantage of this limited time offer, Washington Brawl listeners, and get 20% off of all items on the Manscaped market, including the Lawnmower 3.0, the Crop Preserver, the Crop Reviver, t-shirts. It doesn't matter, people. 20% off. Promo code BRAWL. Take advantage. Join the Manscaped family today, Washington Brawl listeners. Your balls will thank you. Now let's get on with today's episode.
We play the Carolina Panthers on Sunday, okay? I've answered enough questions on this. You guys have had enough opportunities to get enough information about this, okay? We are playing Carolina. If I don't get any more Carolina questions, I'm done.
Merry Christmas, Washington Brawl listeners. My house is full of family. Had to go in a secluded room, and now I'm joining you guys, rocking what Santa got me, nice little Washington football team hoodie. We're coming to you the day before the Washington football team takes on the Carolina Panthers and possibly becomes NFC East champions with a little bit of help from the Giants, who are currently an 11-point underdog this Sunday against the Ravens. And the football team currently is a 3-point plus favorite against Ron Rivera's old team. Off the field, there is plenty to discuss as well with Dwayne Haskins, Dan Snyder, all that good stuff. But to break it all down, I did not come alone, as Mike Reed of the Burgundy Zone, as well as at Steve NFL on Twitter, are here with me now. Reed, has Dwayne Haskins put a dagger in his very lackluster career up to this point in the Burgundy and Gold? I mean, he's openly admitted that it's over. At least he thinks it is. Do you think it is?
Yeah, 100%. I don't even think it's a question at this point. I think if it was really up to Rivera, if they weren't in a position to win this game this Sunday and clinch the division, and if Ron didn't owe it to those players in the locker room, that I think that he would already be gone right now. Just with everything going on with Ron having cancer, Ron being susceptible to COVID with a weaker immune system, and then going on just doing something so stupid like that, like just putting your team's future in jeopardy, and it was just a terrible decision. I think that really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. We talked to Logan Paulson on our show a little earlier this week, and he was saying that if he was still a player, he would have to say something to Dwayne. So I think that people like Jonathan Allen and all these people were very upset with him, and I think Dwayne's done here. I think that was just icing on the cake, in my opinion.
I mean, quite frankly, he never wanted to be drafted here in the first place. and what would have been a bitter divorce and these two parties separating kind of gave us a self-righteous cause. To me, Ron Rivera, who is just completely penalized Cam Newton before for dress code, right, is now kind of having to deal with, the guy that he didn't draft, the player who's just the epitome of a distraction. Yeah. I mean, this team is in the midst of playoff push, and, you've got Dwayne at a strip club. This is his second COVID protocol violation. This is not the first time you've had to speak to him about it. Of course, you would think your head coach having cancer, would be enough for you to kind of just steer the ship and do everything right. But I guess it's not that easy for Simba. Steve, let me get your thoughts on the Dwayne Haskins Chronicles. What's your thoughts on the latest?
Well, I agree with everything you guys said. He would be gone if we didn't need him. We need him right now. They're not going to throw out the guy from Old Dominion or Steven Montez in a race like this. I think they'd give handoffs to McKissick before they did that, like a wildcat formation or something. Yeah, I mean, he'd be gone, and it was a reckless decision. I've questioned pretty much everything he said or done to this point. I think he's gone in the offseason. He could go out there and win tomorrow, and I still think he's gone in the offseason.
Right. The thing that's weird about Dwayne, too, is it's like, who's going to want to touch him now with all this going on and him showing on the field that he's very lackluster. He's okay. I mean, he's had some decent games, but he hasn't shown anything special. And then with all this off the field stuff, being given a final chance at blowing it like this, somebody's going to take the risk, but I don't know how many teams are going to be lined up for him.
Yeah, he's got a long ways to go. He's got 2 to 3 years to go. He's got a whole mechanical uphaul to go through. All that 7-on-7 he plays, man. He's the 7-on-7 king, and I think it hurts him when he steps onto the field, to be honest with you.
He's Simba. That's and then real football is the Shadowlands. You didn't control that area. You don't go there, Simba.
And to me, it's that Haskins already knows what's being said about him, how the media is perceiving him, all the rumors. It's why he made his Twitter private after his apology. He knows what everybody's saying about him. He knows the overall media perception of everything that's transpiring. And to me, you're making it worse. You're not going to be in DC next year anyway. You don't have to make it even worse going on the way out. I do believe that Haskins has an NFL arm, but when it comes to studying and understanding the playbook and being an NFL quarterback between the ears, that is where Haskins just completely lacks. And, I was talking very good about Haskins on our last podcast, because I feel like in the second half, he did have a little bit of a resurgence, but all that stuff just washes away when you do stuff like this. I mean, the team did say that they decided to handle it in-house, and Ron Rivera fined Dwayne $40,000, took away his captain patch that should have been gone a long time ago. But I mean, what's $40,000 to Dwayne Haskins? I mean, chump change, really? I mean, Steve, do you feel like this is a slap on the wrist compared to around the league when you see teams like the Broncos, record aside, having to play with a wide receiver at quarterback because of COVID protocol violations, and the league kind of working out to deal with the watch football team? How does that make you feel?
Well, go look around the entire sports industry. James Harden's under scrutiny for something similar, and he got fined like $50,000, and he's a $100 million man. So, $40,000 could be a hit to Haskins. But at the end of the day, you go back and look at Ron Rivera. Like you said, he suspended Cam Newton for a play because he wore the wrong tie or something, or didn't wear a tie at all. And, I think those two punishments don't match, to be honest with you. But like we were saying, man, if they didn't need him, he'd be gone. I thoroughly believe that. So I kind of give Rivera a pass for this one, but I think Haskins' days are done.
Yeah, I can give Rivera a pass as well, because, I mean, he's kind of between a rock and a hard place. You don't want to use Steven Montez, even though he's over there liking tweets saying Haskins is garbage. You don't want to start Heineke, even though there is the familiarity there. Haskins, unfortunately, to a lot of people, is the best option here if Alex can't go. And, I think if like Reed said, if the situation was any different, I do not see Dwayne Haskins with this organization whatsoever. Credit to Dwayne. He did come out and publicly apologize for making his Twitter completely private, Burgundy blog style. It does take a lot to apologize, but the meat and potato here really is that, Rivera's high risk, whether he's in remission or not. This is the biggest game of the year where you probably are starting, especially based off the Alex Smith video we'll get into a little bit later. And it's your second violation. We've all been young and dumb before, but just what he's doing is absolutely careless. It's even gotten to the point now where Ryan Leaf is kind of out of pocket saying that, what Haskins doing is completely ignorant. When guys like that are saying stuff like that, it's just, it's not a good look for anybody involved. And to me, when I think about him apologizing on Twitter, I think about him apologizing in that locker room. That apology can't mean much, right, Reed?
No, I mean, you can only mess up so many times. I mean, these guys take this really serious. You look at somebody like Jonathan Allen, you look at Chase Young, just the energy he's brought in his first year here in DC. Like, these guys are very serious about football. Jonathan Allen does not play around when it comes to this. Deron Payne doesn't play around. Ryan Kerrigan does not play around. These people, they're grown men. I mean, Logan Thomas and Alex Smith both alluded to it in their press conferences. They both said that they were disappointed in Dwayne, that they didn't like what he did. They didn't like the decision, but that they were going to support him from here on out. And I think that's really the only thing you can do is just hope that he does better. What happened. It was terrible. Luckily, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. And you give him the slap, and then you're just use them for this game that you need them for, and then you just go on your way. And I mean, like I said, I understand Rivera's thinking behind it that you guys have brought up, the Cam Newton thing. That's very true. But this playoff push, I think it's very special to him. And I think that being counted out before the season really makes this that much better, because he thinks that year one, he can win the NFC East. All right. That's pretty good.
Well, just think how so right he would be too. We were like 1-3, 1-4. And we're all laughing at him saying, he's sitting there saying, oh, we're going to win the NFC East. We're chasing the division. We're all just laughing and laughing and laughing. And now look at him. He'll get that
exactly. Right.
And I really do feel for Ron Rivera, man. He's up there just getting, we're not going to spend the whole show talking about this, but he is getting obliterated with Dwayne Haskins questions. It's all over First Take, Undisputed, ESPN, everything you can think of, every major sports media outlet. And, Rivera's like, look, man, we are focused on one thing only, and that is winning the division this weekend. And, I really do feel for Rivera, who's a lot of his things he said have really come to fruition. Steve, go ahead.
You know what it's just like? It's like when Jay Gruden took over and they were asking him all the RG3 questions, and he's just thinking in the back of his head with his eyes popping out. I have nothing to do with this guy. And Rivera's probably thinking the same thing about Haskins, like, I didn't even like him when I was in Carolina. But
I gave him a chance.
I mean, he could be thinking that.
And I've been very vocal. I've been a supporter of Dwayne Haskins, but up to this point, man, you are not helping your cause whatsoever. And I think even if you do beat the Carolina Panthers, it doesn't really change anything.
Now, I just wanted to say one more thing on this. How much is Dan Snyder still pulling the strings? Could Dan Snyder have something to do with this? A light suspension, maybe perhaps Rivera wants to go in a different way Sunday, or he wants to push Alex Smith back just because he doesn't want to play Dwayne Haskins, but Snyder is saying something behind closed doors.
Yeah, maybe Snyder paid Ron $1.6 million to start Dwayne this Sunday.
It really is a distraction, because this week is about the Washington football team. And, I have to give credit to some of his teammates. Logan was pretty blunt, but Chase Young supported Haskins. He has every step of the way. I know there's that Ohio State connection there. But, speaking of Chase Young, very big week for him, making the Pro Bowl alongside Brandon Scherf. But before we get to that, they also, just got to throw this in there, they did say that Dwayne Haskins could practice, virtually. What was it? It wasn't outside. He couldn't practice outside. He can only practice indoors. And, the Zoom meetings, of course.
Right.
So not like he's got his head in the playbook anyway, but like I said, Chase Young and everyone have been very supportive of him. And like I said, very big week for Chase Young, as him and Brandon Scherf both made the Pro Bowl. Turned a lot of heads. Not a lot of people are satisfied with Chase Young making the Pro Bowl. A lot of people are like, well, why not Brian Burns? Why not all these other people in the NFC East? The NFC in general. In you guys' opinion, was there anybody off the Washington football team that was snubbed?
Obviously you want to look at Terry, and I understand why the people made it over Terry that made it over Terry. It's because the same reason Chase Young made it. It's a popularity contest. But really, I mean, Logan Thomas could have definitely made it over Evan Ingram, but it goes back to the same thing. It's a popularity contest. It's frustrating, but Logan Thomas's numbers are just as good, if not better, than Evan Ingram's in most categories. And obviously Terry, we all know how we feel about that, but there's a few guys that could have made it. Jonathan Allen as well. Jonathan Allen's having a very good year. So there's some guys that you can make the argument for sure.
Yeah, I see a lot of people frustrated that Metcalf and, AJ Brown made it. And, they're like, oh, well, Terry definitely deserves it over them. And I even saw somebody say that Terry deserved it over Justin Jefferson. That's a little bit too wild of a take. What do you think?
Yeah.
Steve there?
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you say me. My bad. Can you cut that out?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. Yeah. So Terry's going to have his days, man. Terry's going to have his years where he makes it for sure. He's dealt with like 5 different starts of quarterbacks between 3 different guys. So it's going to be difficult for him. He doesn't have Russell Wilson throwing to him or Cousins carelessly slinging it across the field. As far as if he was well-deserving, there's a completely different feel when he's in the game, especially due to the decline of his backup, which is Wes Martin. I mean, without him, our offensive line is so poor. And the guy that I think got snubbed was Jonathan Allen. From a film-based perspective, he's one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL right now. He's one of the most all-around defensive tackles. There's a misconception that he's a better run stuffer than he is pass rusher, but he's one heck of a pass rusher as an interior defensive lineman. I mean, I think there's a second tier behind Aaron Donald, and he's definitely in that. And then you guys mentioned Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas should have probably made it, but most of his productions came in the last 4 weeks. So
true. Yeah, that's
right.
Very true. Yeah.
And, before we went on, let's just go ahead and get out right and say it. This is more of a popularity contest than anything. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's mostly just all the people look like DBZ characters when we make the Pro Bowl.
It's like voting for class president in high school. It's like I'm just voting for who I like, who I've heard of before. Yeah.
To say that Jefferson should not make it and Terry should is kind of ridiculous. And I kind of laugh at these homers.
Yeah.
You get a lot of people saying, well, Brian Burns should have made it over Chase Young. Pass rusher A, B, C, or D should have made it over Chase Young. Chase Young pretty much dominates in every subcategory on PFF of all those statistics that, like I said, you can't really talk about at the family table. He is a menace. He's an emotional leader, and he's completely turned the ship for this defense. It is definitely a group effort, though. I'll give you credit for that, Steve. I think Jonathan Allen, Ron Payne, there are plenty of names that can make it. But like I said, it's more of a popularity contest than anything. I think there are plenty of people in the Washington football team that had very solid numbers. And I definitely think Jonathan Allen deserves some love, man. I mean, he became one of the best run defenders in the NFL. Reed, do you have any last additions as far as snubs?
Not necessarily snubs, but I will say on the Justin Jefferson note, Terry McLaurin, we all talk about how good of a rookie season he had last year in terms of PFF. He had the highest grade since Odell Beckham Jr.'s rookie year by a rookie wide receiver. But then Justin Jefferson just came and blew him out of the water. I mean, Terry McLaurin had the highest at an 86.3, I believe. And then Justin Jefferson this year came back with a 90.6 or something grade. Like, Justin Jefferson's having a fantastic year. So I understand why he's there right now.
Yeah, I do too. And, I hate those. One big reason I don't like the Pro Bowl, I mean, I don't really watch a lot anyway, but, one big reason I kind of just roll my eyes at the Pro Bowl is because, everybody thinks that every player on their team should make it. Why didn't this guy make it? Why didn't this guy make it? This guy got snubbed. This guy got snubbed. I still feel like Terry, while he did have his first 1,000-yard season, has looked good this year, he still had a couple games where he kind of disappeared. And there are reasons for that. And I'm not saying that Terry will never deserve the Pro Bowl, and there's an argument for him this year. But I can kind of understand why guys like Metcalf and AJ Brown made it over him. I don't think that takes away from Terry's level of play at all. Like you guys said, he is dealing with porous quarterback play. But let's stick to off the field before we move on. Steve, I'll go to you first. TMZ reported this week that it is down to 2 names for the Washington football team. The Washington football team, of course, and reportedly the Washington Football Club. Team president Jason Wright denied these claims with a vengeance. Do you buy these reports, and do you like the sound of the Washington Football Club? I know my man Burrows on the DC Tweet Team podcast, probably music to his ears, but how are you feeling about the football club?
So my number one pick was Washington Warriors, and my number two pick was Washington Football Club. So I was able to live with the football team. If they go to the football club and build it around our W logo that we have now and the numbers on the helmet with, Washington FC established in 1932, I think that's really cool. I don't think you can go wrong with it. As far as Jason Wright's tweet, I would imagine that something so sensitive like this is really close to their chest, and I doubt anything's being leaked. So I wouldn't be sold that Washington FC is the name quite yet.
I think TMZ kind of took a look around. It was like, oh, everybody's talking about Washington this week, so what can we do to kind of stir the pot? When Jason opens his mouth about stuff, man, he doesn't just shoot from the hip. Reed, I know you guys were in that meeting with him. Do you buy what Wright says about these reports being completely false?
100%. I don't think that he's somebody to just shoot something down out of nowhere. If there's no truth to it, I just think he wouldn't have said anything. But the fact that he felt the need to go say something, I think speaks volumes to it. I think that they're going to do their due diligence on this name. It's going to take a while. They're polling the players. They're polling the fans. They're talking to front office people. They're talking to alumni. It's gonna take a little bit. But down to those two names, I mean, I don't know. The Washington football team has grown on me, the name Washington Football Club. I'm not a soccer guy, so it's a little different, but I understand it. So I don't know. As long as they start winning games, I don't care what the name is, to be honest.
Exactly,
with you.
Man.
Yeah.
And all of us said before the season started that, if we did turn out a winning season in 2020, the football team was going to stick around, and it kind of started having a ring to it. I'm not madly in love with it, but I'm kind of liking the W.
Like you said, I love the W.
I think that's the plan. That was probably the plan all along. Sort of your casual football fan, it turns their head. Like I had Eric Helwig, host of the Backup Podcast. He came on and was like, oh, well, it's just too much to say at once. I mean, football club's the same thing. I don't think Snyder would have committed all of this to rebrand to the Watch Football Team just to, give it a little alternation of one word.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it's just there's no point in that whatsoever. So I think TMZ was just trying to get some clicks. Also this week, of course, Dan Snyder himself could not stay out of the headlines. He defended himself this week, stating that he feels as if co-owners are trying to extort him. And this, of course, set the NFL ablaze, as if Haskins isn't already. Matt Miller and all your other social justice warriors are coming all over everyone on Twitter in a fiery vengeance. The media, of course, is not going to focus on the on-field success. But, Reed, what are your thoughts of Dan Snyder and these accusations of extortion?
I mean, look, I'm never somebody who will stick up for Dan Snyder. I'm always somebody who's been very critical of him. But I just, from this past summer, I've 100% felt like everything was kind of a witch hunt against him. So I kind of ended up pulling for Snyder in a way, which is weird. I never thought I would say that. But yeah, I don't know. I think that this entire situation, it's just like there's so many owners that have done such shady things. I mean, you look at Jim Irsay, Robert Kraft, these guys, and they're still there. Nobody says a word about them, but just because it's Dan Snyder, people are going to talk about it. And it's a little bit ridiculous, but I mean, if he did end up paying somebody off, like they said, the $1.6 million, he should be punished for that. If he's being extorted, then the lawyers for the other people should be punished for that. Whoever's extorting him should be punished for that. So we'll see what happens, man. I don't know, but it's just classic Washington drama.
It's the summer all over again. We were talking, it felt like a Lifetime movie all summer. We're talking about a new scandal every other week. And now we're getting to the point where we're actually just talking about football, and we keep coming back to this. I mean, I don't know how the diehard Watch football teams can't feel like this is some ploy against Snyder in a sense. I mean, you know how much hush money is dished around in the professional sports world on a daily basis? I mean, right. Dan Snyder is not the only person to do this. And you talk about Robert Kraft, championship owner, and he's getting reach arounds at a freaking salon. And I can sit here, two wrongs don't make a right, Reed. I'll give you credit there. But I think people get so distraught, so torn up when they see stuff about settlements and all these accusations. And I think people just want to believe that a lot of these things are true without actually looking into it and letting the process play out. Steve, how do you feel about the extortion claims?
I got to be honest with you. I don't pay too much attention to all the Dan Snyder headlines. I mean, you guys saying this right now is the second time I've ever heard about this specific incident this week. It's, I agree with what you guys say. What's the difference between Snyder and a lot of these other owners in the league? We're just in the spotlight based on all of those allegations this summer and things like that. There's been a lot of things that have been going on in that organization since the early 2000s. I think a lot of people knew about it. But, Dan Snyder's a slime ball, like 50% of the owners in this league, 50% of the owners in sports, and maybe even more. So,
yeah, it's just it doesn't make any of it right. Doesn't make the claims right. Doesn't make what's going on right. But I just, two words pop in my head. Why now? Why is everybody deciding to hop on this hype train? I feel sorry for guys like Jason Wright, people like Julie Donaldson, all these people that have worked so hard, tirelessly to reconstruct the team image and get the fans excited about the football team again. And anytime you see the main media, all they're going to talk about is all the bad stuff. They're not going to talk about the fact that Wash is on the precipice of winning their first division title in 5 years. All they're going to talk about is all the dirty laundry and all those things that I guess get clicks. And ultimately that is their job. But as far as Dan Snyder is concerned, I am Team Snyder as well too, Reed. I hate to say that.
One difference about this organization right now in front office and ownership is all the minority owners want him gone. I mean, you can't say that about any other organization right now. So there's going to be more dirty laundry aired, through the next year, maybe even years until, he's finally out of there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think anything they can do. I mean, if he survived all of this, man, I don't understand what it's going to take.
He's going to actually have to legitimately Me Too somebody on camera or something in order to get out of there. He's not, if he's surviving this storm, the guy's invincible.
If he was running his organization as like a Hooters, that's horrible.
Right.
It's not a good thing. But it seems like he's kind of separated himself from football operations, everything that's going on, and kind of let Rivera steer the ship. He doesn't feel like he has much of a hand in everything. Kind of feels like he's trying to take care of those demons on his own. And a lot like the Haskins thing, man, it's ultimately just a distraction. And I cannot wait until those things pan out. But like I said, let's focus on football. This Sunday's matchup, we have some returning faces and some absences that will no doubt affect the team against the Carolina Panthers. Thomas Davis, of course, continues to take his extended vacation, not a participant in practice. Cole Holcomb returning as a full participant. Steve, do you think Cole Holcomb coming back this week will help out this defense, especially after losing Dion Hamilton? I mean, I did think Khaleke Hudson filled in nice, but how much of an impact do you think Cole Holcomb will have in his return?
I think he has a much bigger impact than Kevin Pierre-Louis has. I think we missed Holcomb's speed last week. He's a good run defender, although he guesses a lot of the time. He does make some splash plays behind the line of scrimmage, which we desperately missed. He plays with a lot of energy. So does Khaleke Hudson. But without Holcomb this week, you might see Michael Kendricks. So, I mean, we need Holcomb in there. You're going to see, a level up on the defense. I like the energy. We need energy. So
he brings the energy. That's the perfect way to describe it. You go back to the Dallas game where he came back and he was an absolute difference maker on defense from jump. You are playing a very bad Dallas Cowboys team, but Holcomb just physicality, rushed into the ball. Like you said, he brings that energy that this defense was lacking in the linebacker position. He's the catalyst, if anything. Reed?
Cole Holcomb, I don't think what he's done his last 4 or 5 games or so that he's played can be replaced. He's played so well. He's really just kind of re-energized this defense. And really before Holcomb started to play well, no linebackers were really doing much of anything. Our linebacking core was extremely weak. Holcomb comes back. He plays fantastic. I do like what I saw from Khaleke Hudson, but if Holcomb's out as well as some of these other names that I'm sure we'll get to in a little bit, that's very concerning. That would be very concerning.
I do like the idea of Michael Kendricks. I think he's a very versatile linebacker.
I think it was a smart signing for sure.
I think we definitely signed him a week too late. Could have got some insider information about the Seattle Seahawks. I had to make that joke, Reed.
Problem is, if he's the best linebacker on the field, we might be in deep trouble. That's why we call Holcomb.
Hey, he's played, according to PFF at least, he's played well, but I know
Holcomb's played really well, man. Yeah. I like Holcomb a lot. Another day 3 steal for this front office.
Al Smith, he's absolutely killing it. I don't even want to think about him leaving anytime soon, so I will ignore that like the plague. Holcomb has played very well. Like I said, he brings that energy to the defense, and last year, I kind of thought he was one of those guys that was just kind of playing good on a bad team, and he's really proved me wrong and kind of showed he deserves to be here, and it definitely gives me a sense of comfort. What does not give me a sense of comfort, though, is Terry McLaurin being listed as doubtful. Reed, do you think this offense can move the chains without the captain on the field?
I don't know. I mean, if Antonio Gibson plays, then I think that they obviously have a better chance of moving the chains. But without Terry, I mean, that's going to be tough. That's your only wide receiver, the consistent wide receiver. Cam Sims has stepped up a couple times this year, but he hasn't proven to be consistent yet. You're going to really have to distribute the ball to Logan Thomas and JD McKissick and hope Cam Sims steps up and then feed the ball to Antonio Gibson. Because otherwise, I don't know what you're going to do. I mean, that's a very tough loss.
It scares me to think that there's even a position where Gibson and Terry won't be on the field, and Alex Smith. We haven't even gotten to Alex Smith yet. Steve, do you think missing Terry McLaurin this Sunday puts Washington's odds of winning in jeopardy?
Oh, for sure. But the bar is so low on offense. I mean, sometimes I wonder, a team like Carolina, I wonder if they're preparing or prepped for Terry McLaurin to bracket him like a lot of teams have. And then 2 days before, they're starting to scramble like, wow, he's not going to play. What do we do now? They're going to man up on everybody. I don't know. It could create confusion with him out of the game. I'm just trying to create a narrative, though, because I'm a fan boy.
What it's going to do, it's going to force Scott Turner to be a lot more creative if Terry's gone.
And you know what? And I think being creative, like getting the ball to JD McKissick out in space more than you already do, I don't see a problem with that.
Me either.
The bar is so low for this offense, man, with Terry McLaurin in the game. If 20 points wins it, with them out of the game, 20 points wins it, get down into the field goal range and kick a couple field goals, and maybe we score a touchdown on defense. That's what we're going to have to do, though. And that's realistic if you think about it. I mean, we're top 3 defense in the league. Terry McLaurin hurts. He's going to hurt any team in the NFL, regardless of what team he's on.
We're at the point with this offense. I'm glad you brought that up. Is that we're like congratulating fish for swimming. I mean, it's It's the bar really is low, and there have been some changes at the wide receiver position. Dontrell Inman, who was a big Dwayne Haskins target, has been released, and Antonio Gandy-Golden is finally ready to go. Do you guys think he'll fill in well for Terry McLaurin's absence? Reed, I'll start with you.
We talked about this a little bit earlier on the Burgundy Zone. I don't know really what you can expect from him because he hasn't done much this year. He hasn't played much. He's still young. Obviously he's a rookie. He was a mid-round draft pick, 4th round pick. So you really don't know what to expect or how big of a role he's going to play, but I do like to think that they would get him involved. I know Scott Turner liked to use him surprisingly on like a lot of end arounds and things of that nature when he did play earlier this season. So I hope that they get him involved. I think everybody's excited to see what AGG can do. He just needs an opportunity, but will it come this week? I'm not sure. I think it's more than likely to come next week against Philadelphia if we win this week and the Giants lose.
Yeah, I think that the decision to sit Terry honestly has something to do with what they really think Antonio Gandy-Golden can do. I know there's plenty of pre-draft articles. Everybody loves him because he's a local kid. I was very big on Antonio Gandy-Golden, but it has been kind of a lackluster rookie season, kind of plagued by injuries. But he's still got that big frame. He can still make plays. The Washington football team took him plainly because he is a playmaker, and I think that they are expecting some similar production out of him in this offense. There were some weeks where Terry McLaurin didn't exactly have Pro Bowl numbers or anything to write home about. And and the offense still got the job done, and I think that they're expecting to do that with this ensemble of weapons. You got guys like Steven Sims who have completely not shown up this year. You got Isaiah Wright who makes a cameo every now and then. This offense and Scott Turner have become very creative against a Carolina Panthers defense that I don't think is as bad as advertised. They are 4-10. Even near the bottom of their division, they're kind of a laughing stock. CMC not playing. This really could be a trap game for the Washington football team. This defense has guys like Derek Brown, Brian Burns. They have guys that can make you pay if you give them the opportunity to do so. Also, a full participant in practice the last couple of days is quarterback number 11, if not definitely the biggest factor in this game, Alex Smith. Reed, in your gut, do you see number 11 under center on Sunday?
So after seeing the Instagram videos, I still thought Alex didn't look 100%, but I will say that this injury seems to be so weird that it could just flip just like that. I think that they are going to end up giving Alex Smith a shot to see how he plays. And if he does all right, good, great. If he ends up looking like he did 2 weeks ago, then they're just going to pull him out of there and put Dwayne in. But I think that that's one of the main reasons why they activated Steven Montez is just to be safe, just be sure that nothing happens. But I think Alex they might see where he's at if he feels okay on Sunday. I think that they're going to put him in there. And then if, like I said, if he struggles, his arm doesn't look the same, they're just going to pull him immediately out.
That video definitely was a little tough to watch.
It wasn't encouraging.
It. I heard Kyle say, well, it was a little bit cold out there, all these other intangibles. And those are definitely fair arguments. But the Washington football team has definitely taken the long-term approach as far as his recovery is concerned. Steve, do you see Alex Smith under center come Sunday in Carolina?
Yeah, I think Alex Smith is going to play. I think he's just dealing with a strain. It's going to be, how he feels Sunday morning. If he feels 75%, I think he's going to give it a go because that's just the warrior-like mentality that he has. With all the Haskins stuff going on, I think he might even feel a little more pressured to get under center. And with McLaurin out, it's with McLaurin in, it's a game management situation anyways. With him out, you manage the game even more. That's what he's best at. This Panthers pass rush, they pressure like 20.1% of the time, which ranks in the bottom third of the league. Could be without Brian Burns, so it's not a team that pressures and gets in your face too often. Maybe that makes them feel a little more inclined to safely play Alex Smith. I think he's going to give it a go. I think he should if he feels 75%, but that's, again, I'm a homer. So,
I think a lot of people are kind of under the presumption that, Haskins has beat Carolina before. I think he can beat him again. God, that was a year ago. And, we're talking about a situation where Haskins is possibly without, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. So let's just go back to hypotheticals. He's possibly without Terry and Antonio Gibson. This is not an ideal situation for Dwayne Haskins. We all see how he handles pressure on and off the field, and he folds, man. And it's not a situation where I want him to be in with guys like, Shaq Thompson coming at him, Derek Brown, possibly Brian Burns, just so much uncertainty going.
Jeremy Chin back there making plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And, not only that, I think Alex Smith for the Washington football team to have a chance in this matchup, for me to feel good about it, for me to turn on the game tomorrow at 4:00 and feel good about the Burgundy and Gold coming out as division champs, Alex Smith has to be under center. I think too much has happened this week with Dwayne Haskins. I think that they're kind of trying to put up a ruse. They're trying to take away the attention from him, make people think that he's not going to play. And I really do see him under center, especially with the long-term approach they took a couple weeks ago when he got hurt in San Francisco. So I think best case scenario, he is playing quarterback. It kind of makes not having Terry hurt a lot less. Now, what will make this offense hurt a lot is if we go another week without Antonio Gibson, who looks like he is trending towards playing this weekend. Now, of course, this Washington football team rush offense with Peyton Barber, J.D. McKissick, and all them did not fare too well against Seattle, so AG was sorely missed. Reed, how vital do you think it is getting Gibby back in this lineup?
I think that is the most important thing. I think having Gibson back is more important than having Alex Smith back right now. Antonio, without Terry McLaurin, you don't really have. I mean, J.D. McKissick has been fantastic, but Antonio Gibson's a big play guy, just waiting to happen. This guy is finally finding his footing as an NFL running back. He's looked fantastic, and really, this offense without him and Terry, like I said, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to be very creative. So I think that's the biggest question mark for this team right now. I think is Antonio Gibson.
So many question marks, Reed. So many question marks. Steve, do you think the Washington football team offense can keep their heads above water without Gibson on the field?
No, they need Gibson. Oh, I think they can keep their heads above water for sure with McKissick. I'm not a big Peyton Barber fan, but they'll have Lamar.
I think only Ron Rivera is.
Yeah, right. I think they'll have Lamar Miller active. I don't think we'll sink without Antonio Gibson, but obviously it's a huge upgrade.
Yeah.
Carolina Panthers are in the bottom third of the league in explosive run rate on defense. So they get gashed of plays of 20-plus yards in the run game. And that's what Antonio Gibson does best with his 4.3 speed. And, he's got some good contact balance. He's a big guy too. And, they rank poorly in DVOA rush defense too. I mean, that's how we're going to have to win and control the game. How we're going to sustain drives is by running the football, especially if Haskins is in there. You got to run the football. So Antonio Gibson, we need him, of course, but I don't think we sink without him. So
it's slightly discouraging because you want everybody to just be in for this game, for this revenge game for Ron Rivera. Ron's not going to say this game means a lot to him, but we know it does, because it means a lot to us. We're a year removed away from us defeating Carolina, then them firing him, and things have come full circle. You want to have Alex under center, you want to have Gibson, you want to have Terry, you have all those guys, so you can hang as many points on this team as you can, with them being a 4-10, with them being down and out, with their best player not being on the field. So it kind of feels like we're almost tying one hand behind our back going into this fight when it doesn't really feel necessary. But at the same time, it is necessary, because Washington football team is playing a long-term game, because they do have a playoff push to look for. Of course, you're going to have teams like Carolina, teams like, San Francisco 49ers right now bringing up guys last couple weeks kind of trying to play spoiler. So I think the Washington football team is going to need all things clicking. Dwayne Haskins is going to have to be smart, get the ball out of his hands quick, and hopefully it doesn't come down as close as last Sunday's matchup did. But this Sunday, directly after the 1 o'clock time block, where the Giants are playing the reigning MVP Lamar Jackson, the 6-8 Washington football team takes on the 4-10 Carolina Panthers. Let's get your bold predictions, guys, as well as your score predictions. Steve, I'll start with you.
Bold prediction: Antonio Gibson plays 70% of the snaps, and he scores a touchdown. Washington wins 23-20.
23-20. All right. Taking the 3, that's the Vegas favorite right now as well.
Well, they lose 23-20 if Haskins plays. Throw that in there.
That's a good – that should be the bold prediction right there. Read bold and score predictions. Hit him with it.
So let's see. How does this movie usually go? Washington will be down 17-3 at half, and then they'll end up storming their way back, and they'll barely edge it out, maybe by a field goal or so. And they're going to end up winning this game 27-24 with 2 defensive touchdowns. That's going to be my bold statement right there.
Okay. All right. A little bit reminiscent of that matchup last year. I like it.
I wanted to add a little piece to mine. 23-20 Washington. But it's not as close as it looks, because Hopkins misses 2 27-yard field goals.
Yep, that's it. That's the most realistic thing I've heard of
being down
all year.
17-3 and Dustin Hopkins missing about 2 field goals that are easily makeable is like the safest bet that you could have any given week for this team.
He'll kick the
game winner from 58. Don't
right.
worry.
It makes no sense.
and when you need, Hops got you. I think that's how he really kept his job up to this point, man. But, with the Carolina Panthers, man, guys that scare me are Derek Brown. This Washington football team offense could not even get 4 yards of carry against the Seattle Seahawks, who are not exactly a great run defense. Now, the Seahawks do have the 25th ranked pass defense in the NFL, which is going to be huge if you have a veteran undercenter like Alex Smith. He's going to be able to pick them apart. One big thing, and of course, has been the X factor in every game for the Washington football team this year, because it is the reason we are in the position we are in, is, of course, the pass rush. Teddy Bridgewater got hit damn near 10 times against Green Bay. And, Green Bay pass rush is no slouch, but you look at this Washington football team, you got first-round draft picks across the board, 3rd ranked in the National Football League. So if they get after Teddy early and often, I see this being a very long day for a team and a fan base who was trying to convince me that P.J. Walker could be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. So I see the Washington football team pulling this one out 22-9. Washington, my bold prediction, AGG scores his first touchdown in the National Football League, but it is not a receiving touchdown. It is a rushing touchdown.
There you go. I could see that. I hope so.
He got in on that action a little bit against Cleveland. They got the ball in his hands. His hands themselves have not exactly been a sure thing up to this point, which is a lot of question marks, especially leading up to him getting activated. But I really do see the Washington football team pulling this one out. I think this time tomorrow, guys, we are going to be happy campers. But thank you guys so much for coming on. Reed, I'm glad I could finally get you on, man. You cracked me up on the Burgundy Zone. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can just at Mike Reed 2156 on Twitter, aka Old Dad. And just tune into the Burgundy Zone twice a week, every Tuesdays and Thursdays on anywhere you can find podcasts.
You, Kyle, other Mike,
absolutely. Me, Kyle, and Mike Hall. Thank you. Yeah.
Great episode of Logan Paulson as well. He's one of my guys, man. Also, you can see in Mike Reed's AV, he's holding his child like it's a WWE title belt. It's distracting. It's the first thing I saw. I was like, what the hell?
I wrapped him around my waist.
Steve, I've been following you for a while, man. I like some of the work you do. Tell people where they can find you as well, brother.
Thanks a lot for having me. You can find me on Twitter at SteveNFL_.
And in case I haven't said it already, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you guys.
Yeah, hey, you too.
Happy holidays.
I'm out here.
Nice sweater, by the way.
Thank you. I'm freezing my ass off in my garage right now, pretending like I'm warm. I should have brought a personal space heater with me, but I don't think before I do things. So here I am stuck with and ammonia.
But as far as this episode of Washington Brawl Podcast is concerned, that is all the time we have. Make sure you head over to www.brawlnetwork.com, pick up some Washington Brawl merchandise, get a little bit of a late Christmas present. Also read some of our articles, leave a rating review wherever you listen to us on, subscribe. Go to our YouTube channel and official Twitch. Make sure you subscribe to our notifications for those as well. We have our Washington Brawl Man 21 game of the week coming up. Post-game pod coming up to you guys tomorrow, featuring Emmanuel Chokba and Rio to hopefully celebrate our first division title in 5 seasons. But as far as Game Day Eve is concerned, this has been the Washington Brawl Podcast presented to you by the Brawl Network. Peace.